to weigh in on the student loan debate because I hate myself and I just want to see you guys all pop off in the comments and piss you off. But basically, here is my thing. I think I'm qualified to talk about this because I paid off $189,000 of student loans. And the only reason I was able to do so is because the federal government stopped charging interest during COVID.
You see that? She's one of the smart ones. Paid off $189,000 in student loans while the interest was being paused. She's smart. She's a very smart woman, and I can tell because there's a whole bunch of people who, instead of paying off the loans while the interest was paused, they went and did everything else. Literally did everything else. And then when the interest started again, they came over here on TikTok to complain about the interest being too much to the point where they can't pay off the loans. The problem is not the interest because y'all had 5 years of no interest to pay off your loans. The problem is you didn't have any interest in paying off your loans. Let's be honest right now.
I think there's two camps that if you really take your bias out of it, you could actually totally understand both camps. Camp one is like, hey, all these people, I don't want to take on their financial burden. They've got all these student loans. That's not my
You're
situation.
right. Yeah.
Or I already paid mine off. Or I don't think we should bail people out that have student loans. Camp two is I was sold a bill of goods where it made it seem like if as long as I got a degree in higher education, then the money that I made with my career will be able to pay them back. That does not seem to be the case. I'm still in financial straits from COVID. Or I think the federal government should forgive my loans. Those are kind of two of the polls, right? I'm going to introduce the third poll, which is I think that the practice of the federal government charging interest on student loans is incredibly predatory. And let me tell you why. I graduated from business school. So I graduated from undergrad with no loans because my undergraduate institution had a no loan financial aid policy. And my parents were able to put a little bit of money towards my experience. So I
That's
graduated with
cool.
no debt. Then I went to switch careers and I went and got my MBA from a very prestigious institution. And I took out an absolute crap ton of student loans. I basically paid for the entire thing with loans because I was pretty confident that coming out of an MBA, I would be able to actually make that money and have more earning potential, which ended up being true. But 2014 to 2020, I was getting charged 7% interest from the federal government, which meant that even though I was always every month putting more than the minimum, I got a bonus, I would put it at my student loans, I would just chuck as much extra money as I had at student loans, I still was barely making a dent because of the interest. Then the only reason I was able to pay them off in 8 years, so I guess that would put me at 2022, is because during COVID, they put everybody on forbearance with federal loans and 0% interest. And
8 years to pay off these loans. Man, thank the Lord I don't have any student loans. But I do feel bad for a lot of y'all because today is doomsday for student loan borrowers. It's May 5th. So they're going to be starting garnishing wages. Hope y'all ready.
so then when the money I was throwing at the loans every month, I would just plus it up and up. That actually went directly to the principal and it finally went down. So the first 6 years, it was almost flat. And then the last 3 years, it went like this until I paid it off. And the federal government should not be trying to make money on this. They should say, okay, 25-year-old Stephanie, you're going to go better yourself. You're going to get your MBA. That's so great. We'll loan you this $189,000 and then you just agree to pay it back. Oh, in conclusion, I am not in the camp that I think that all student debt should be wiped away. I mean, I think there are exceptions. Like, for example, if you've been in public service, you're a teacher, fully support that. We all know, teachers are expected to get their master's degrees, but are making $50,000 a year. Like, to me, I'm like, if you gave 10 hard years in public service, like, thank you so much. I would wipe away that debt. But I think the point is, if you remove the predatory interest rates from student loans, I would just love someone to do the math, model it out for me, right? Because all of a sudden, instead of paying for 25 years for your undergraduate, you pay it off in 10, but you have more ownership of the debt. And then as soon as you're done paying it off, like all that money is going back into the economy. So you'll just never convince me that education isn't worthwhile to invest in. Like, I am not of the camp ever that people are like, well, people should just not go to college. That's not what it is. We need an educated country. I just think that we shouldn't be covering the operating costs of the federal government with people that took out loans when they were 18 years old.
Well, I do agree that she said teachers should have the loans forgiven because, teachers are the building block of society. And the fact that they have to go get a master's degree to be a teacher is kind of ridiculous. So I think they're probably the only ones that should have the loans forgiven. However, people are aware of how much teachers make. People are aware of how much it costs to get a master's degree to be a teacher. One is a lot higher than the other. And it's not the salary. Salary is nowhere near the cost of what it is to become a teacher, to get a master's degree. It's nowhere near it. So I don't know. Should they get the loans forgiven, or should they have known better? Maybe a little bit of both. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard this at least one time in their life before. Oh, you need to go get an education so that you don't end up being a janitor. And the vast majority of people I heard saying that were teachers. But what they didn't say is that the janitor actually makes more money than they do. Janitor, sanitation, they make way more money than teachers do. And I'm talking about teachers in the private sector, not the public. The teachers in public sector don't make squat.
I have over $70,000 in student loan debt, so here is my attempt of trying to put anything towards that. I did everything right. I applied to 8 schools, all that I would get in-state tuition for. I got scholarships to 7 of them. I picked the cheapest option, and I have $70,000 in student loan debt. I was extremely high achieving in high school. I was, straight A's, all AP, honors classes, that sort of thing, extracurriculars. I knew I didn't have any sort of college fund or anything, so I worked 35 hours a week while I was in high school. I slept like 3 hours every night. I hated my life, but I knew that if there was any way I was gonna, do anything after high school, I had to work. I'm watching my niece right now, so if you hear some chattering, that's what that is. Yeah, I was a class of 2020 grad. So as you know, if you were also a 2020 grad, high school, not college, you just know you got cheated out of absolutely everything. You got so many opportunities taken away. And it just sucks. And the college I went to had a 2-year living on campus requirement when I was there. And that was tens of thousands of dollars in addition to the tuition. And there was no way out of that. And now they...
No, you can't say there's no way out of that. You definitely had a way out of it, not getting into it in the first place. No one told you to go to school. No one told you to pick that specific school. You could have picked any other school to go to.
don't have that living requirement because there's not enough space there and whatever, which is so annoying. And it's so hard to not dwell on that because that's part of the reason I'm so stuck in a hole. And all the other colleges I applied to had that same requirement, and so it was I don't understand. I feel so cheated. I feel just awful. I do not know. I don't know how to pay this off. I've been working and saving money since I could work and save money. I'm doing all the right things. Right now I'm in a gap year and I've just been babysitting, making money that way, not doing any big spending. My apartment is 100 years old, genuinely, it's caving in on itself. It's a lead paint apartment. It's just, it's the worst, low-key, but it's that's what I could do to save money. I've done all the right things, and I know a lot of people.
I don't know why she keeps saying she'd done all the right things when she had a scholarship to go to school. So basically, they paid for it for free, but then she went and took out a student loan so she can live on campus. That's not the right thing to do. You should have picked another college or stay at home or just skip college in general. And it doesn't matter how good you do in public school, from K to 12, they gonna push you through anyway. Really, no one cares about your education after you finish school.
You also just feel cheated. It's so annoying to spend all of your high school years sleeping 3 hours a night, doing all the right things, putting so much towards just everything you're doing, thinking, oh, it's gonna pay off. I'm gonna get some money towards college. It's gonna set me up with great opportunities, whatever. And to be in this situation, it's okay, great. I'm in a gap year. I start grad school in August for school psychology. I did get a full tuition grant for a research program. However, I've been informed it has the potential to go away because of the current president situation. So I am hoping so hard that doesn't go away because there's no way for me to have more debt. There's no way. Yeah, and it sucks, and I know it sucks for a lot of you guys too. So we'll call this day one, trying of just talking, trying to get a little bit of shmoney from TikTok. A little bit of shmoney from TikTok. If you watched 5 seconds of this video, that will count towards the creator fund. So,
Didn't know
but
that.
yeah, if you want to boost this video, if you made your own video like this, let me know. I've never been one to be like for like or whatever, but it's like if this is gonna, put a little bit of money towards my loans, that'd be great. It sucks so hard, and like I said, I worked all throughout high school, and I had multiple jobs in college, and like all the money I've been able to put towards my current loans, my private loans, which by the way, have almost an interest rate of 7%, and that was the best thing we could find at the time and get approved for. That's a whole nother thing. If you don't come from rich parents, it can be kind of hard to get approved for loans sometimes. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing all the right things. I'm working, I'm saving, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. But yeah, this is just another effort.
I'm extremely happy that I dropped out of college. I think dropping out of college was probably the best decision I've made in my adulthood. I dropped out in like 2 months. I didn't learn diddly squat in college. I went to continue to work. I was working on Radio Shack at the time. I'm like, this is better than college. It really was because I learned a lot more than work from working at Radio Shack than I did in college, which is really sad because I was paying for that.
Here's another reason why people don't want to pay their student loans. I'm going to use myself as an example. When I graduated with about $72,000 in student loans. Mind you, I got a master's, and when I finished my degree, I landed a job that paid me $40,000 because I studied to be a teacher. Now, when I first looked at my repayment plan, they wanted me to pay about $900 a month. Now, with a job of $40,000 and living on my own, because that was my option, you can imagine that I did not have enough money to pay for those loans. So, lo and behold, those things went on forbearance really, really quick because for the first like 5, 6 years of my career, I only made up until $60,000, which was never really enough to pay for the exorbitant amount of student loan payments that they were requiring me to pay. Fast forward, I eventually got married and had kids. And when you have kids, childcare cost is a real thing. So instead of being able to pay back my loans, I had to pay childcare. And in a country that always wants women to have children, I did my duty. And not because America wanted me to have kids, but because I wanted to have kids. So for those of you who are going to jump in my comments and say, so why you had kids if you wasn't paying for your student loans? Because realistically, America is a country that wants us to have kids. And if I waited up until I had enough money to pay for my student loans, I would have never had kids. So what the hell do you want? Kids or no kids, America? So about 9 years later, after I've graduated with my master's degree, with a whole family later, married, I still don't make enough to cover for my student loans. So my student loans have gone up from about 72,000 to 92,000. And the only
Her student loans went up $20,000 because this woman decided to have kids and then blame America for it instead of paying off her loans. Well, instead of not even going to school and becoming a teacher. Because I understand you people have this want to be a teacher so badly. I'm like, you can teach online without having to take out any loans. You don't have to take out loans to teach something. There's people on Teachable who make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all they do is talk to a camera and teach from home.
times that I have been able to even pay on my loans was when I worked for a company that would pay $100 a month for me. And this is
That's
the gag
pitiful.
of it all. I have been looking into all of my student loan stuff, seeing all the programs that I can apply for, and I qualify for the public service loan program, which essentially
Oh
says
boy.
if you've been working in public service, after 10 years of qualifying payments, they will forgive the rest of your loan. And I also qualify for the income based payment plan. But this is
Oh
the
boy.
thing, this plan says that I could pay between $600 and $900 for the next 10 years. And when you calculate that, that adds up to $120,000 over 10 years. What the hell are they going to be forgiving after that? there ain't gonna be no loans to forgive. So what I'm trying to understand is what the hell is going on with these programs? Because the math ain't mathing, and they don't seem really real, and they don't seem like they really want to help us. And if y'all want to fight me in the comments about not being responsible and paying off my loans, realistically, I've never made enough money to pay off these loans. So instead of jumping down my throat about student loans, how about y'all begin fighting for teachers who have been educating the future students, workers, entrepreneurs for society, so that they could just do away with all of our loans?
Don't do that. Don't blame it on us. You the one that took out the loans. I don't know why you decided to become a teacher if you knew that they didn't make that much. $70,000 loan and you only make $40,000 the first year out. Nope. You could have Googled that crap before you went to school for it. I don't know why people act like they don't have any free will. Like going to college is the only option. There are plenty of things you could do that make way more money than having to spend $70,000 become a $40,000 salary teacher. I don't think people really take the time to weigh all their options when it comes to picking the field in which they want to work in. Like, I would never want any of my kids to become a teacher, but if they want to become plumbers, absolutely, because the barrier to entry to become a plumber, or at least to go to plumber school, is very low compared to how much they can make. Because when you're a plumber, you can basically make as much as you want because you can charge whatever you want, and there's always demand for a plumber, but there's not very much demand for a teacher. But that is changing because there are a lot of teachers who are leaving their jobs because y'all raise some badass kids, honestly. You got teachers out here that are getting hurt, getting in fights with their kids. Their kids are on the phone and they go and take them. They getting swung on at this. Man, listen. I would never become a teacher. Never. The fact that I can't defend myself against your child after they want to go and put hands on me because they disagree with something that I said or did, I couldn't do it.
Okay, I'm just gonna try it. I'm 42 and I'm tired, and I'm a hard worker, and I have student loan debt that is not going away. I'm really hoping and praying that I can somehow make TikTok work in my favor. So far, I haven't been able to, but if you're seeing this video, please help, please. Just repost my video or comment, like, do all of those things that can get me some traction to hopefully pay off some of my student loans before I die. Because I'd like to, be able to buy a house or even start a savings account. Yeah, 42, no end in sight. And yes, I'm a responsible person. I'm not one of those people that took out a loan with no intention to pay it back. I have been paying it back for 20 years, and I owe
20, hold on.
More now than I did before because I was on an income-based repayment program. And the income-based repayment program doesn't touch all of the interest unless you pay extra, which of course I didn't have. So I paid what I could based on the program for 20 years, and honestly, I probably could have paid most of my loan off by now, but I now owe so much more because of those compound interest rates. So please repost, like, share, do all the things.
See, I really wish she would have told us how much her student loans were, because be paying on student loans for 20 years. 20 years is absolutely outrageous. It's basically paying a mortgage without having a house. Man, these student loans are so bad. And probably the worst thing you could do is go on an income-based repayment, because your payment will never cover the interest. So your balance will always go up forever. And I actually do feel bad for people like this, because she's trying to make an honest effort to try to pay back these loans. It's just she can't. She doesn't make enough. But then again, we kind of chose this path, really. But at least she's trying. Unlike everyone else who is just ignoring their student loans, having kids, going on vacations, living their lives. Y'all deserve to get your wages garnished. But let me know what you guys think about this. What y'all think was going to happen the next couple years, since garnishment pretty much starts today. Well, not exactly today, but this is when collections start. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. See y'all next time.